Welcome to the module on Word 2016. We are going to be looking at how to format your document. For the purpose of this exercise, you can open the file that you've got called formatting.docx. Now, when we talk about formatting, there's a whole lot of things that come into consideration. We've got font formatting, paragraph formatting, and something that we call styles. So let's take a look at each of them individually. If we look at our font formatting, Word will usually default to Times New Roman or Arial when you start creating a document. You can obviously change this in your settings. But in order to format our font, you first need to select the areas that you would like to format. And then in the font area, you've got a whole lot of options here which we're going to go through. You can change your font type. The most commonly and easiest to read using Word is Calibri, Arial, or Times New Roman. So I'm going to change it to Calibri. You can then change your font size either here or going higher and smaller over there. Bold, italic, and different types of underlined options. And then over here you've got something called subscript. So you can either use superscript or subscript, and it actually shows you the shortcuts for that as well. And this is when you're doing more authoring and page setups and those kinds of activities. Then you've got options to make your words a little bit more fancier and give your document better looking headings with something we call word art. And you can choose various types of word art settings, which allows for very quick and easy ways to manage your document, specifically if you are doing any kind of authoring. You've got options to highlight your text and options to change your font color. So what we're going to do for this particular one is we're going to select all the text in our document. To select all the text, you can either use your mouse or Control A on your keyboard, which is the shortcut to select all. We're going to change our font to Arial, the standard Arial, and we'll keep it at size 12. Now, because we would like our headings to look like headings, and we want Word to also recognize them as headings, and the reason for that is in a later module we'll show you how to do table of contents and indices, is that when Word recognizes it as a heading, it's much easier to incorporate that into a table of contents automatically rather than manually. So when you use a heading, you've got a group over here called styles. If you click on the little arrow, you can choose what kind of heading you want. So if you're purely emphasizing, you could use emphasis, heading 1, heading 2, and then you can use various types of headings. Usually heading 1 is the top heading. Heading 2 would then maybe be a subheading underneath that, and then normal would be the text that you use in your document. You can also create your own styles for different headings you want to create. So I'm going to change this to heading 1. And because this is what I think is a subheading, I'm going to change that to heading 2. Music would also be a subheading, so I'm going to change that as well to heading 2. And then you can browse through the rest of the document and see if there's any other headings. Other media will also change to heading 2. Now you'll see later on in the module how we can use this easily to create tables of contents and indexes for our documents. Now let's have a look at our paragraph formatting. And this group over here is going to help us manage our paragraphs more effectively. So again, you need to select those areas that you want to format. And this section over here allows you to choose whether you want to align your text to the left, in the middle, to the right, or something I prefer in a document, specifically when you're doing advertising and proposal documentation, is the Justifier. This will distribute your text evenly between the margins. So I'm going to now use that to justify all the text in my document. And that way you'll notice that both sides, left and right, are nice and neat and tidy. Over here, this basically chooses what type of spacing you want between your paragraphs. So you can choose different spacings every time you start a new paragraph, otherwise it'll just default to the current spacing. Another thing that's quite nice to use is bullet points. However, bullet points need to be used in the correct context. So we've got different types of bullet points. If you are creating a numbered list, which is usually in order of priority, you should use your numbering list. If you are going to create a random list, in other words, a shopping list where there's no specific order of priority, that's when you can use a bulleted list. Over here, we've got your multi-level lists, and then this is where you can control your indent of your particular bullets. And then at a later stage, we're going to look at graphic editing, which will take us through borders and graphics and how to insert and manage tables in our document.